Nice as always for a Monday. We're joined by Anneliese Giselle from the Health Hub store in Ballincollig. Good afternoon to you, Anneliese.
Good afternoon, John Paul.
And a lot of questions in, so we'll get straight into them. And first of all, Anneliese, this is from a person who wants your advice on what they can take for anxiety and panic. Now, they're on HRT, but they get very panicky in the morning and indeed at night. They feel that their heart is racing, but it isn't. So any advice and help for this person, Anneliese?
Yes, and actually this would be a very common complaint for menopause as well, John Paul. Anxiety is a big part of it, anxiety and forgetfulness and lots of things. So obviously our hormones, our women's hormones, are very protective of our brain function. So I think there's a couple of different things that are worth trying. So the first thing is stuff that will help increase your resilience, so you're less likely to be triggered and feel as stressed. So it's much more difficult to kind of trigger that kind of panicky feeling or that very anxious feeling. And a couple of herbs are very good for that, and they are ashwagandha and rhodiola. And there's lots of supplements like in the health shops that would have a combination of both of those. I know that Viridian do an enhanced rhodiola complex that has the ashwagandha in there. But we sell a lot of a product called Stress Vida, and it has got a combination of a very high-strength ashwagandha and B vitamins. So this is a brilliant one to include resilience. And then there's things that work in the moment. So those things are L-theanine, which is just an amino acid. They get it mostly from green tea. Doesn't have a long-term benefit, but it is brilliant to take if you feel you're going to have a hard day. It really promotes calm and focus. So it brings all of those kind of stress hormones down that lead to that feeling of anxiety. Maconta, a lovely Irish company, they do a brand called L-theanine and L-ornithine complex. And there's other lovely herbs in there like lemon balm and magnesium bisglycinate that are all really good in the moment to help you feel calm and focused. And then the other thing that's worth a try is cannabis oil, which has no THC in there, so people don't need to worry about getting drugs tested or getting high on it. You can't. There's 0% THC in there. And the cannabis oil is another great one to work in the moment. You just get a little pump of it and you put a pump underneath the tongue. And my advice generally is don't wait until you start to feel anxious. If you feel you're going to have a tough day, take it before you go so that you're not as easily triggered. It'll just help prepare you for the day. And those are all great as well, by the way, John Paul, at night time for the busy body, busy brain going to sleep, and they work great for kids as well.
Okay, hopefully that helps that person there. And I have a lot of questions in to do with going back to school, Anneliese, and there's two here summing up what the majority are saying. Can you ask Anneliese what multivitamin she would recommend for a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old? They had a few viruses over the summer, and I would like to give their immune systems a boost when heading back to school for the autumn and winter. And Helen in touch as well, similar story. They've picked up colds and sniffles once they go back to school, and her two are age 7 and 9. So what advice can you give for all of those, Anneliese?
Okay, well, I think multivitamins can be a good way of getting all of the vitamins into kids, especially if they're not good eaters. But personally, I would prefer, especially if the kids are good eaters, to take stuff that is specifically for boosting the immune system. And we have for many years sold the BioNutri elderberry complex here. And it's a combination of a lot of things for the immune system. So it's got vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, vitamin B6. So these are all great antiviral immune boosters. There's also elderberry extract in there and beta-glucans, which are amazing for kind of ramping up your first line of defense T cells. So it helps prevent viruses from taking a hold. And we've sold buckets of these over the years, and we always get great feedback. People swear that their kids don't get as many coughs and sniffles. So that's the BioNutri elderberry complex. If you can't get your hands on that one, all of the ingredients that I mentioned there, if you can get something else that has those in there, that would be good. You may need 1 or 2 products. And then just in terms of the multi, if you did want to go down the road of a multi, the ones that we find kids take the easiest, especially when they're as young as 4, are the Animal Parade gummies or the chewables. They kind of come in the shape of an animal. They taste pretty good. They're very, very good quality. And they will have a good blend of all of the multivitamins in there, but they might be lacking the elderberry extract I was talking about there for immune system and the beta-glucans. However, they are a great way and they're very acceptable for children. So I would definitely recommend them as multis.
Okay, hopefully helps those there who were inquiring regarding that. And another texter asking, any advice for a fatty liver? What can Anneliese advise me for this?
You know what, John Paul, it's such a big problem at the moment, fatty liver. I'd say I have people coming in a couple of times a week at least with fatty liver. And it used to be really associated with alcohol, over intake of alcohol, because the alcohol, which is kind of really like a sugar, was converted to fat and stored in the liver, and it created fatty liver. But I think it's down to our diet now, and it's because there's a lot of high fructose corn syrup and glucose and sugar. It's the high sugar, high carb diet, and it's the carbs like white rice, white pasta, white bread, because they've been stripped of all their fibres, and these basically elevate the blood sugar quite rapidly, and then the body responds by taking the sugar out of the blood and converting it quickly to fat in the liver. So diet is a big part of it. I would, cut down hugely on all of those foods I've mentioned there. And then there's a couple of things that really work very well for fatty liver. Unfortunately, the one that worked the best, which was berberine, comes from the berberis plant. That was amazing for bringing liver enzymes down very quickly. You could see the results quickly. And in their wisdom, they have decided that it can no longer be sold in health stores. So it's gone off our shelves, unfortunately. But if you can buy berberine, berberine, overseas, where it's still available in health shops, that would be one of the best things to take. So in its absence here in Ireland, what we're at the moment recommending is a combination of a liver support supplement, and the one that we love is the NHP Advanced Liver Support. It's got a whole range of ingredients in there for the health and support of the liver. And then we combine that with something like bitter melon, which is brilliant in terms of kind of managing insulin resistance, blood sugar balance, and that in the roundabout way then prevents the liver from taking the glucose to store as fat. So the bitter melon and a good liver supplement, and a good liver supplement should have things in there like turmeric, dandelion, artichoke, glutathione, and that's why I love the NHP Advanced Liver one. It's got like that and more in there, so it's a kind of an all-in-one supplement. And you need to take it for at least 3 months, but ideally 3 to 6 months, and go back and get your liver tested again just to make sure you're on the way, the liver enzymes are on the way down again.
Okay, hopefully that helps that listener. And finally, Kieran wants to know if you can help with this. It's excessive sweating. If he has a busy day at work or in the office, and if indeed at the office he says it's slightly warm, he sweats a lot, but it's only happening to him in the last 3 to 4 years. Now, Kieran is in his late 30s, so any idea why this would be happening, and what can he do to prevent this?
I actually really don't know, John Paul. I don't know. Like, some people do sweat more than other people. I mean, there's loads of things that can contribute. I mean, cotton, like all of those unnatural nylon and plastic fibres and fleeces, they would make people sweat an awful lot more. So wearing natural cotton fibres next to the skin would be important. I don't know if it's in response to the office being too hot, or like if there's a smell to the sweat, if it's very smelly, that could be a sign that you're detoxifying through your skin. Maybe you could do with a bit of liver support and help the liver do more detoxing, and then your sweat mightn't be as smelly. But in terms of preventing sweating, the only thing you can actually do is have Botox to the sweat glands. And that actually sounds mad, but it works extremely well. And for people who'd have hyperhidrosis, it's called over-sweating, and that would have very sweaty hands and feet, it can work extremely well. And it has very little or negative side effects whatsoever. So you could ask your doctor about getting Botox.
There we go. I didn't think that would be involved, but you never know that. Anneliese, thank you as always for that, and we'll talk to you again next Monday on the show. Thanks, Anneliese.
Thanks, John Paul. Bye-bye.
Anneliese Giselle there joining us from the Health Hub store in Ballincollig.